Hello, traders. FX Pip Collector here. Today is Monday, February 10th, and this is my morning video where we like to take a look at the US dollar pairs, including gold, and we also like to take a look at a few of the JPY pairs. If you haven't done so already, definitely check out my free Discord trading community. The link for that is at the end of this video down here in the corner and in the description. If you would like to join my membership program, then you do so on my website, fxpipcollector.com, and it gets you access to all these benefits listed below and more for only $30 per month. So, anyways, first thing first, I always like to make sure that people know what the news is for the day. Today is Monday, and Monday can definitely be a very slow news day. The only thing we have today is President Lagarde from the European Central Bank talking this afternoon. Depending on what he says, I mean, it definitely could do something to the market, but normally I wouldn't pay too much attention to these type of news events. I mean, obviously it could move the euro pairs depending on what he says. This is a pretty big week for the market, though. We have CPI this week for the dollar, so we do have some pretty big news events coming out this week, but today could be a little bit on the slower side. So, anyways, I always like to start off on the US dollar index. If you know what the US dollar index is doing, then you pretty much know what all the US dollar pairs are doing. Same thing with the JPY basket. If you know what the JPY basket is doing, then you pretty much know what to do on all the JPY pairs. So, anyways, on the US dollar index, I'm still looking at this as an A, and I still think this is a three waves up, three waves down, five waves up for a 3-3-5 pattern for the wave B, and I still think at some point it's going to turn down and make a big old giant wave C. Now, unfortunately, the fact that this is going down doesn't prove to me that this is now already going down for wave C. This move down right here could potentially be a crutch into this last wave up. This could potentially make another higher low, and it could end up going up and, retesting these previous highs and maybe even going much higher. So we had to be very careful in assuming that this uptrend for the wave C is complete and that we are actually back into a downtrend because we definitely may not be. So anyways, let's switch over to the euro US dollar. Let's go back down to the daily time frame. Now the euro dollar definitely did break structure to the upside on the daily. It definitely did make five waves up. But we have to be a little bit careful. Like I said, the US dollar index really hasn't given us any proof to say that this really is going up. It definitely looks like it should go up. It looks like a potential wave one. It looks like this could potentially be like a wave two. And this maybe even could be like subdivisions one, subdivision two, and it turns into a big old giant wave three. That definitely would be nice, and it would definitely be very profitable if that is how it played out. But as far as looking at all the dollar pairs in correlation, the euro dollar is really the only one that's given us a big break of structure to the upside. Most of the other dollar pairs actually do look like they could possibly end up going down even further. So, like I said, be very careful in assuming that this is now in a uptrend. So going down to the 1 hour time frame. Now on the 1 hour time frame, this move up right here definitely looks like a trend. I'm hoping that it's a subdivision one, like a wave one of three. This also looks like a trend. I think it looks like an A. This definitely looks like three waves up, looks like a B. This also looks like a downtrend. Hopefully it's a C. I think this could be an ABC correction and it could be the completion of a wave two. If it is the completion of a wave two, then this needs to make higher highs, higher lows because what would come next is a wave three. A wave three should be the biggest, strongest wave of a trend. So if it doesn't make impulsive moves up, if it doesn't continue to make higher highs, higher lows, that would invalidate the wave three scenario. But as of right now, as long as it doesn't break structure to the downside on these sort of time frames, I would say that there's a good chance that we're in a wave three. There's a good chance it will continue to make higher highs, higher lows on these sort of time frames. So moving down to the pound dollar on the 1 hour, the daily time frame that is. Like I said, the euro dollar is pretty much the only pair that has broken structure. The pound dollar definitely hasn't given us a break of structure on the daily. The daily time frame is 100% down, and actually, this kind of almost looks like it could even be a wave A right here. This almost looks like it could be a wave B, and this could be a wave C. Lower high and pulse it down. I honestly would not be surprised if this is back into a downtrend and it actually goes back down and breaks these lows. There's really no proof whatsoever on the dollar index or really any of the dollar pairs that the trend is up except for maybe the euro dollar. So going down to the 1 hour time frame, I would definitely recommend looking for shorts, but we do have to be aware that it could turn into an uptrend. I think there's a good chance that this impulsive move down could be like a wave A. This definitely could be three waves up right here, wave B, and we potentially could be in a wave C, or maybe the wave C is already over. If it does break and hold above this structure with momentum, then it probably is the completion of an ABC. That probably is going to keep on going up. But the fact that the daily never gave us a break of structure to the upside tells me that I personally would primarily be looking for shorts. So if this does make a lower high, if it does go down, if it does break structure to the downside, I personally would take it as a short. I personally would primarily only be looking for shorts right now because my higher time frame, the daily time frames and up, are definitely 100% still in a downtrend. And as always, the trend is your friend, so I would recommend looking for shorts unless proven otherwise. Moving on to the Aussie dollar. Now, the Aussie dollar definitely does have a nice looking five-way pattern to the downside by the looks of it. But just because you see five waves does not mean that it needs to turn into a trend reversal. This also has not given us a break of structure to the upside. As you can see, no break of structure. The trend is still down on the daily. This push up right here could just be a correction to this last push down. It could potentially bounce from a fib level and just continue the downtrend. There's definitely no proof of a trend reversal on this pair. So going down to the 1 hour time frame, I mean the market has definitely been going up pretty much all last week. And this right here definitely does to me look like a potential wave A. This looks like a potential wave B, and this definitely looks like a potential wave C. So hopefully what happens is it just keeps on going up and it breaks that daily time frame structure, which will turn me into a buyer longer term. But until it does break that daily time frame structure to the upside, we have to be aware that any move we see to the upside could just be another correction to the downtrend. If this makes a lower high, if it goes down, if it breaks structure, then I personally would definitely still be focusing on shorts because the higher time frames are all still in a downtrend. There is definitely no break of structure or anything on the higher time frames telling us that we have a trend reversal to the upside started yet. So the trend is your friend. So if you get a break to the downside, I would go short. If not, then this right here potentially could be an ABC correction. Hopefully, what happens is it just keeps on going up and it breaks that daily time frame structure, which will turn me into a buyer longer term. So going down to the Kiwi dollar, exactly the same analysis as the Aussie dollar, just a little bit. Usually the Aussie, the Kiwi is a little bit stronger, one or the other. So moving on to the US dollar CAD. The US dollar CAD is another one to me that looks like a nice uptrend. Now, yes, this is a lower low, and the reason I want mention this is because somebody said something in it to me about it. But you can have lower wave Bs, and you can have lower wave twos. That definitely to me looks like three waves down. This to me definitely looks like impulsive up, and plus that wave two fits really well with this potential wave four up here. So 1, 2, this is all wave three, WXY of wave four, wave five. And impulsive down at a break of structure would prove to me this whole trend is over. We do not have breakup structure yet. We cannot prove that this uptrend is complete. The trend is your friend, and if there's no proof that the trend is over, we have to keep in mind that it could just continue up. If it does decide to break and hold below structure, that's great news because that would turn me into a seller longer term, and that would also tell me that the higher time frame all the way up to the monthly is completed the wave C, and now we're heading down for the wave Y. So A, B, C, a B, and down for a wave C of wave Y is what I think is happening. But like I said, no break of structure tells me that there's no proof it's going down. If there's no proof it's going down, I would definitely still suggest looking for longs on shorter time frames. Going down to the 1 hour time frame. On the 1 hour, we definitely did have a little bit of break up. So there's still a pretty good chance that this is an A, this is a B, and it goes up and makes a C to one of these Fibonacci levels. Maybe something like this, and then turns back down. But because the trend is up on all the higher time frames, there's also a chance that this is a wave one, this is a wave two, and it actually just goes up and makes higher highs, higher lows in a big old giant wave three. So be aware that because the higher time frame trend is not proven to be over, this definitely could end up doing something like this. Now, to be honest with you, I kind of hope that I'm wrong about that. I kind of hope that it goes down, and I hope that it breaks structure. Why? Because that would tell me that that big giant uptrend on the higher time phase is complete, and that I could be literally looking for shorts for probably the next several months in a wave C of wave Y to the downside. So let's move on to the US dollar Swiss. Let's go up to the daily time frame. Now, I've been saying this for a while, but most wave A's or wave 1s do take out the high of the previous wave 4, which has not happened yet. I think there's a good chance this move down is another correction. I think there's a good chance this is actually going to keep going up, probably taking out the high of wave 4 before we potentially get a much bigger turn to the downside. So definitely still in an uptrend. And honestly, it definitely looks like this could be the end of a correction already. I mean, it looks like five ways down. It looks like corrective up, impulsive down. Yes, it is a higher low, but you do get irregular ABC corrections that make higher lows quite often. I think there's a good chance that we could be going up for a wave 5 right now and probably taking out that higher time frame structure. So going down to the 1 hour time frame. On the 1 hour time frame, ever since we got breaker structure to the upside on the 1 hour, if you are trading the shorter time frames, you could have been looking for longs that whole time, ever since Wednesday or Thursday when we got that breaker structure up. Now, unless this goes down and breaks to the downside, I would continue to look for longs. This move down might just be a question to this wave up. It might just make another higher low, and it might just keep on going up, especially if this really is the end of a wave 4 on the daily time frame. Just like the other pairs, if it does decide to break down again, then great, start looking for shorts. If it makes a higher low and continues to uptrend, then continue to go long at the end of every single three-way pullback you see, especially if it continues to make that high low, high low, high low series that we are seeing on these lower time frames. So moving on to gold. Gold broke out in a big way, as you can see. Now, originally, I've been saying that this potentially looked like an ABC correction, but now that it broke out in such a big way, that's obviously not an ABC. And if you go all the way up to the monthly, this is still a wave 3 in my opinion. This is a wave 1, this is a wave 2, and this is a wave 3. My next main target for wave 3 would actually be the 261% Fibonacci extension, which is right around $3,000 per ounce. So I'm actually thinking that at this point that gold is probably going to hit $3,000 per ounce before we see any significant reaction. So ever since this thing turned up way back here, I've been recommending to look for longs. And if you've been following along and you've been following my recommendation to look for longs at the end of every pullback, then you've probably been doing really well trading gold. Going down to the 1 hour time frame. Last week I was saying that it looks like this should go down and make a more proper A, B, C correction. But this is also why I do not count a trend trade. Because even though the 1 hour time frame looked like it should go down and make a wave C, what happened? It made a higher low and just kept going up. Last week I said it looks like it should go down and make a wave C, but this is not a trade that I would be taking because the trend is up on every single higher time frame. And even though it looks like it should go down, it potentially could just keep going up, which is exactly what happened. So now in hindsight, I mean, it's either this is the ABC right here with like a running wave B, or this is like a running ABC correction right here. So that's the A, this is the B, and this is the C. Either way, that's all over with, and it honestly doesn't really matter. My new target is right around $3,000 per ounce. I definitely wouldn't recommend going long now, and I definitely wouldn't recommend going short. If it does make a pullback, I would recommend waiting patiently for the end of the pullback to go long again for the continuation of the uptrend. So at this point, I am definitely recommending looking for longs at the end of pullbacks. So moving on to the US dollar again, going all the way back up to the daily time frame. I personally think that all the yen pairs are in a big old giant wave C that's going to last months and months and months. So I think we're in a huge downtrend right now. Now that doesn't mean there potentially couldn't be some decent rallies on sort of time frames, but I think that overall in these daily time frames will on all the yen pairs continue to make lower lows, lower highs. So going down to the sort of time frames, I actually prefer it to break structure to the upside on sort of time frames, not to go long, because I know that if it breaks structure to the upside and then I get an ABC correction, at the end of that ABC correction will be the beginning of a brand new downtrend, a brand new subdivision, just like this. One, two, three, four, five. So I do think there's a good chance it will break up on this 1 hour time frame. But I think that even if it does break up, it's just going to end up being a correction to the last 5 waves down. It'll just make another ABC correction. And later on, in a few days or so, it'll probably end up continuing the overall downtrend from the much higher time frame wave C. So moving on to the euro yen. Euro yen, just like all the other yen pairs, that's one of the beauties of the yen pairs, in my opinion, is that they're all doing very, very, very similar patterns. I think we're going down to about this 100% Fibonacci extension of wave A projected out the top of wave B for the wave C of wave 4, which is a long ways to the downside still. So I think, yes, there definitely could be some rallies on sort of time frames, but I think even if it does go up, it's probably just a correction to the downtrend, and the daily time frame will continue to make lower lows and lower highs. So going down to the 1 hour time frame, I like it just like the other one. I would actually prefer to see it break to the upside. I kind of hope that it does break structure to the upside. And I hope that it makes a more nice looking proper ABC correction, because I know at the end of that ABC correction that I will have an opportunity to go short again for the continuation of the downtrend. So I personally would not recommend trying to go long in this correction. Even though I draw it out like this, it doesn't really have to play out like this because the trend is down. I would like to see a nice proper ABC correction, but it doesn't have to. It could just go up and then just keep on going back down. That's why I do not recommend counter trend trading. I recommend being patient, waiting for the proper three-way pullbacks to go short for the continuation of the downtrend. Because even though it looks like it should make a proper ABC correction, it definitely, definitely, definitely does not have to. So same thing on the pound yen, going up to the daily time frame. I think the pound yen is also in a really big downtrend right now for a big, well, giant wave C of wave 4. I would expect this to go down to around the 100% Fibonacci extension, all the way down to about 172 and below, perhaps. And like just like the other yen pairs, I mean, yeah, there probably will be a few days worth of rallies on sort of time frames, but overall, I think the daily should continue to make lower lows and lower highs, probably in a big wave C downtrend. So going down to the 1 hour time frame. So on the 1 hour time frame, I would be only looking for shorts. I would be looking to go short at the any single pullback I see. Now, I would also like to see more of a proper three-way pullback, which would be much, much better, much clearer of an entry. Whether or not it's going to do a proper ABC pullback like this, I have no idea. But I do know if it makes any kind of three waves up and a pulse of down, I would definitely take it as a short. So if I do see three waves up, or I do see a pulse of down with a break of structure, that would make for an amazing sorting opportunity, probably for the continuation of that big old giant wave C of wave 4 from the daily and the weekly time frames. So anyways, don't forget to join my free Discord trading community. And as always, thank you for watching and happy trading.